Okay, we got the gaming industry is being destroyed right now from Big Fry. Let's go.
But I'm starting to sense just a major shift happening in the gaming space right now. Looking around, you're probably seeing headline after headline of company-wide layoffs, studio closures, restructurings, and it's appearing to be some heavy doom and gloom. Now, I know this isn't specifically a gaming thing, as the
Uh, I mean, it really depends. Um, like I play most of my games on PC, and whenever I'm not working, I spend like a good chunk of my time online. And when you do that, you can kind of see like through like social media and whatnot, like all the little minutia that goes on when a game comes out. You see all the reviews, the YouTube videos, the this, that, whatever. And I don't know, I am a little bit older now, and I do realize that certain sources are like credible, other ones are not as much. And in so much of knowing all that, there was a time when I was younger where I wasn't as, hooked into the internet and as plugged in as I am now. But then again, also the internet wasn't as big back then as it is now. Um, and there's for every one player that is like doom and glooming over like some game, there's probably 5 to 10 new players just experiencing that new game for the first time. And perceivably, like, you could think a game is bad, but someone else could think a game is good. You know, I mean, it really depends on like there's a bunch of variables that it depends on, but I mean, I get what you're saying.
entirety of the world economy is struggling ever since that one random event in 2020 that
Yeah.
completely just fucked our futures. But in regards to gaming, I'm seeing a shift. Companies that have overstaffed, overpromised, overspent, and underdelivered are now having to live with the consequences of those actions. Staff cuts, re-envisioning of what their companies need to focus on, which, like I've been saying for years now, is delivering solid games for good prices and not gouging the consumer. But here's the thing. I think people are starting to get hip to the game that the AAA space is no longer a viable spot for creativity, passion, and talent. COD is never.
That is a pretty true statement. If I want to look forward to like a new game, I can't look for that experience to be delivered by my once beloved AAA developers that I used to like when I was little. Because like when I was a little kid and growing up playing video games, um, I would play all of the new Blizzard games, all the Call of Duties, the Bungie Halos, the Destinies. What else? The Rare. What was like Banjo Kazooie? I played some Nintendo. I played Xbox, PlayStation, GameCube, all that shit. I played all that shit. But I mean, if you want to talk like just AAA, I mean, Nintendo is seemingly still doing pretty good, but that's like a whole separate thing, more or less. Even if you want to include them in like the AAA genre, which I think you could. But I mean, as far as like conventional like thinking, like with AAA games, and like any single game that spends over, I don't know, like $100 million, it could easily be considered like AAA. It's like, well, just look at the past couple years and see what kind of experiences those games have delivered on day one, and see how they do. I mean, from what I've seen, it hasn't been too great. If ever I have experienced like a good game, it came from like either like a single A, double A slash indie developer type of company, and I don't know, man. It's just it. The bangers aren't coming from AAA anymore. They're coming from everywhere else.
Never going to focus on dialing back their monetization to make meaningful changes to their games. And for the people that can just hop on and enjoy the game for what it is, myself included in that, that's totally cool. Our expectations for these companies and corporations pushing the envelope have shifted. In my opinion, they've deteriorated almost completely. What I'm finding is gamers are starting to wake up to the fact that things are never going to be the same again. We're never
No.
getting Battlefield 3 again. As much as the recent EA.
And honestly, this is probably true of older gamers. which is the scary thing. To younger gamers, like people in their teens, around there, and like maybe a little bit less, this is just the norm for them. This is their world. They didn't know a time before battle passes, before microtransactions, before a game being perfect on, well, not perfect, but like mostly perfect on day one. There was no day one patch. There was no day one DLC. To them, their experience has always been generally games come out and they're not good. Like on day one, you got to give it some time. And that's just their norm. I mean, and this is probably true of what do you call it, like PC and like console games. We're not even talking about gamers that are brought up on like mobile games, if you even want to consider them gamers. I mean, I probably would. I mean, because if you're, as long as you're playing like a video game, to some degree, like you're to some degree like a gamer still.
A earnings call would like us to believe that things are going well over there. They aren't, at least, in terms of what you and me are concerned about. DICE and EA, alongside all of these other major corporations, have a responsibility to their shareholders to continually drain your pockets of everything they can with cosmetics and battle passes and all of this other bullshit that we've been complaining about for over a decade, while doing as little as they can to innovate and create solid experiences like they did 20 years ago. And it's only going to get worse as the economy worsens, because as we spend less on fancy pink helmet skins and more on, groceries and mortgage payments, these companies are going to need to dig even deeper and figure out more ways to creatively incentivize you spending more money.
Hey, remember that when that one COO guy, or I don't know, chief something officer, executive money officer, financial CFO guy, I forgot what his title was, but he's like, man, for this new game, we're going to charge players for bullets. If they want to shoot our gun and play our game, we're going to charge them per bullet. You remember that little quote? Thank God that shit did not go through. Oh my goodness. What a meme.
Because in that same earnings call where Andrew Wilson, EA CEO, says that they're making investments in the future of the Battlefield franchise by building an expansive, community-focused Battlefield universe for fans, EA also...
Is it going to have a scoreboard on day one at least?
Posts a strong Q3 driven by EA Sports and live service titles. And thus, there's the conundrum. Where they make money is where they focus their attention, like honestly any business would, right? Meaning the next Battlefield title will be designed from the ground up to support major microtransactions, cosmetic bundles, battle passes, the whole nine. And I think more people are getting fed up with the spending and incessant need for more and more transactional content when they're struggling to put food on the table. The game in the background that you guys are seeing is Out of Action, a game developed by one person.
I did see a little bit of gameplay from this game, and it looks good. I'm intrigued. I think I wish listed this thing. If I didn't, I got to be sure to.
That has a free demo out now. It's currently an offline arena shooter with bots where you can play around with a ton of different weapons, gadgets, and perks, diving in slow motion, throwing knives, and it's fucking awesome. It's going to be multiplayer in the future, and I've had an opportunity to do multiplayer tests in the past. If you guys haven't seen my videos on it, check it out. The game is...
And I actually didn't realize this until now. It is like very light cell shading. It's very simplistic, and like even the background is like simple, and FPS bros love simple graphics. They just love it. They don't want a bunch of detail in the background.
It's fantastic, and you can play the demo right now for complete.
Oh, and the enemies are highlighted too. Oh my goodness. This could be a banger.
Free. But a lot of the dialogue around this game and others in the space is that they're taking on the AAA space and putting them developers to shame. And honestly, I agree. See, Out of Action couldn't have been made at a AAA studio. It's too good. It's clearly got a design and a vibe that doesn't translate into AAA in 2024, meaning it's a little bit darker. It's a bit more gritty with splashes of color and a nice cell.
And actually, just looking at him shoot some bullets, the overall look of the camera and just ADSing it looks pretty clean. Yeah, there's some numbers like spewing out here and there, but like for the most part, not a lot of camera shake, not a lot of gun shake. Maybe he's just using a really good gun. I don't know, but the recoil seems like not bad. It's pretty like visual clutter free. So this just looks like it's checking all the boxes for me, dude.
Shaded vibe, but more importantly, it hasn't been built as a cosmetic delivery system solely for the purpose of draining your wallet. I'm seeing videos from guys like Level Cap who are covering games like Operation Harsh Doorstop that's built out its modding platform to allow a bunch of different experiences to go on in the game, and the platform is completely free to play. Now, I will say I jumped in recently because I wanted to make a follow-up video, and I don't think the core experience is worth it yet. I can definitely see the appeal of games like this when you factor in all of those other elements. A video from Operator Drewski that just came out as I was writing the script for this video, where
the massive Star Wars mod that proves AAA games wrong. Ooh, that could be a good one.
Covers a Star Wars mod for Squad that, in his own words, proves AAA games wrong. Tacti Gamer covering Out of Action, saying it's putting AAA devs to shame. The most recent release of Baldur's Gate 3, where the coverage of that game across the internet was that this is where AAA games need to be, at least from a quality perspective.
But what was it? What's the studio that made Baldur's Gate 3? What the hell was the name of the studio? It's on the tip of my tongue. But whatever. The development team for BG3 is, even though it is an indie company, it is a very large indie company. So let's not get that confused. It's like the biggest of the big AA companies. So yeah.
The shift has started. And I think because of the way the world is going, the economy that is, in my opinion, completely failing, and we're on the brink of economic collapse.
I mean, let's not forget how big the development team for Diablo 4 was. Was it like over 9,000 people?
I think when it comes to video games and the projects that we decide to put our money towards, I think more and more people are going to be looking at cheaper indie titles to fill that void.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I already was. I think I've sunk in way more hours in recent memory and history into like just indie games. They're worth my time. Even if I didn't enjoy them as much, I don't feel as guilty because I didn't blow $70. I only blew like 30 or 40.
Because I see companies like Ubisoft trying to appeal to that indie demographic by releasing games like The Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which by all accounts I've heard is a fantastic title, but it's priced at a full whopping $79. And now Ubisoft employees, according to a report from Insider Gaming, are reportedly fearing mass layoffs as that game only reaches 300,000 players, and it apparently isn't going to make its money back. Ubisoft
only 300,000 players at $70. Let me see. Quick math. Just so 3 times $70, 21 million. So I take it they spent more than 21 million to make the game. But I think I saw like a little bit of gameplay for what was it? That it wasn't Assassin's Creed, the Prince of Persia game, and it seemed like a really good like a side scroller game, like a hack and slash side scroller. It seemed like one of the best in its class, because it was kind of like Dark Soulsy in that it was like you had to like memorize like combos and shit and like juggle combos, and you could like there was like parries, there was dodges, you could like teleport every like certain places and whatnot. Like if you like that type of game, that game was a banger. But I mean, trying to justify 70 like I think like most video game players would see like a side scroller game as like not worth $70, no matter how much like time and effort you put into it. But like if that's your favorite type of game and it's like, oh wow, $70 side scroller game, and like all the physics and the combos are cool, the good story, good gameplay loop, and shit like that. It's like you're swimming in that game, dude. You're chilling. But I mean, yeah.
Ubisoft has Skull and Bones coming into open beta next week before its launch here in February, and the response and the morale there is at an all-time low. And I'm guessing that once Skull and Bones comes out, if it's what we're thinking it's going to be, which is a mediocre game in development hell for 10 years trash bag, those people are going to be looking for jobs sometime soon. I imagine the entire Singapore office, if Skull and Bones doesn't land well, is going to shutter. And, you know, jumping from EA to Ubisoft here, we can kind of take the same lessons. These guys are so void of creativity that in this Insider Gaming article about Ubisoft, it was reported that back in 2021 and at the beginning of 2022, Ubisoft had over a dozen Battle Royale games in development internally.
Really?
A dozen.
That's crazy, dude. Like, that many different types of BRs. It's dizzying. Like... So from like in a vacuum, I would say trying to experiment with a bunch of different styles of BR is a good thing to try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Which is nice from like a like an artistic standpoint, because if you really like a genre, I would like to think that you would like to experience all the different versions of that genre, regardless of like how good or bad it is. It's like, if you like the genre, then it's like, oh, it's like, I like ice cream, let's try chocolate, vanilla, strawberry, blueberry, cookies and cream, and all this different types of ice creams. It's like, yeah. But when you do that, and you taste all those different types of ice cream back to back, I would say your taste buds get a little dulled, or not dulled. They lose sensitivity. But yeah, I just don't know how what they were thinking if they're trying to do like 12 different types of VR or BRs. I mean, I don't know. I haven't been invited to any testing or anything.
12 Battle Royales. Ubisoft's reportedly not happy with the results of Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora. It had around 1.9 million players, which from my perspective is an insane amount of people. But
like about 2 million players for like, what was this, Avatar BR, or just at the Avatar game?
According to them, it's poor numbers compared to previous games by Ubisoft Massive. Who would have thought? Assassin's Creed Mirage also didn't meet expectations, attracting a low 5.
Yeah, well, also, yeah, because none of these AAA companies reveal the concurrent player numbers for their games anymore, since numbers is information, and information is valuable. That they don't want to reveal their ace up the sleeve. They don't want to reveal their trap card, because if they do that, then all the other companies are gonna be like, oh, look at that, go copy that real quick. I mean, like, remember what happened when like Fortnite came out? Fortnite was like huge, but even before Fortnite came out, well, before that it was PUBG. So we had Fortnite, but before Fortnite we had PUBG, but before PUBG we had H1Z1, but before H1Z1 we had, what was it, the Arma mod thing, which was kind of like a BR, and it all like led up into like Fortnite being the precipice, or not the precipice, like the peak of like the BR genre for that era. And then you had things like Warzone BR, you had Apex come out. What else? I'm sure I'm missing some, but yeah, I mean, it's not like VR is really going anywhere.
Million players. And it's clear to me now that cracks are starting to form in the AAA space. And in my opinion, unfortunately, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs because of this, and they already have. I think I read another article, 15,000 layoffs in the gaming space since the beginning of 2023,
Dang.
with, I want to say, 5,600 people being laid off in January alone. The cracks are showing. And I think this is what we have been talking about for years when we talk about the crash. Now, granted, the economy is in the shitter. This isn't just a gaming problem, like I said before. But when the economy goes down and you have an industry that, in my opinion, should be as strong as ever, when you take into account that the gaming industry makes more than like movies, music, and all other sources combined.
That's crazy.
How are we having this many layoffs? How are we having this much turnover? How are we having this many issues in an industry that has so much money flowing?
Greed. It's greed, and you know it.
Into it. And I think, again, when it comes to that shift in perspective, I think people are starting to realize just how mismanaged and fucked a lot of these companies are. And in my opinion, even though there's a lot of bad tied to it, the doom and gloom, the loss of jobs, the restructure, all of that stuff, in my opinion, it's only a good thing. Because if we have these companies that have for years now been...
I mean, honestly, probably if like, even if you're like a casual game enjoyer, but you're like 30 or 40 something, and you've like kept up with like the gaming industry throughout the years, I would imagine it's understandable to be a little like burnt out. But if you're someone like that's just new and getting into gaming, you have a lot of fantastic games. Like you have like 30 years of games to like go back and play. And there's just, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stinkers, but for the most, like a lot of the times, you know how there's like that one like movie poster, but in that movie poster, it'll be like 100 movies you have to see. And then it'll just be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 99, 100. I'm pretty like there has to be like a video game version of that like type of poster where it's like 100 video games you have to play before you die. And then number 1, number 2, number 3, blah, 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 99, 100. Like that poster would probably go hard as fuck, dude.
Going down this road that has led them to here, where we have been complaining and bitching and talking about it for as long as I can remember. They are at a point now where maybe, just maybe, they have the opportunity to re-envision and look at where they have gone and try to dial it back. Will they? I highly doubt it. I have no faith in the AAA space at this point. But I'm hoping that that perspective shift from the gaming side can help shine lights on smaller, independent projects that actually deserve our time. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to topple Call of Duty. Call of Duty is never going to die. Battlefield is always going to have a player base.
I mean, honestly, the only thing that can kill Call of Duty is Call of Duty. These gaming like IPs that everyone is so familiar with, the only thing, like, these labels can do no wrong. Because for everyone, like I said, every one person that, like, drops out for whatever reason, that when the next game title, like, gets released, there's going to be 10 more people to, like, take that person's place. So, it is what it is.
Regardless, but if this industry shift can lead to more games like the finals, which in my opinion proves my point exactly. Embark Studios, a studio of like what I think LinkedIn has them listed at like 200 to 500 people, dropping bangers like the finals and working on Arc Raiders and not having to worry about the bloat that comes with a company like Dice.
Finals is a banger.
I think LinkedIn has listed at what, like 500 to 1,000 people, so like double the size. Embark swings in and they're executing at a level that we haven't seen in the AAA space in.
And this is really cool to see, like, a single studio just get completely focused on one single game. I think this is really cool because, like, so much focus and effort can be put into like a singular game. And honestly, I think didn't like Blizzard and Riot used to do this or do this. Like when the Riot Game Studio like came out, like what was their first game that came out for Riot? Was it, I don't know if it was League of Legends. That's just like the one that I know off the top of my head. And then over the course of time, it's like, okay, we did one game really good. Let's make another game. Let's make another game. And so on and so forth. And at least from what I can see, a lot of people, like at least like the general audience of like people that play Riot games, they're pretty happy with like Riot as like a whole. And like because like whenever they release like a new game, it's like, oh, quality, like not a lot of bugs. I mean, yes, there's probably bugs for like if you play the game like XYZ game from Riot, you'll probably see like the little tiny cracks and whatnot. But I'm talking from like a general audience. Everyone seems to really like Riot. It used to be this way with Blizzard. Blizzard didn't really have like a lot of games. And then they popped off with WoW, or no, they popped off with not World of Warcraft. They popped off with like what was it first? StarCraft, and then Warcraft, and then World of Warcraft. And so they slowly built up their library of games. And then, I mean, you guys know the rest of the history with Blizzard. I'm not gonna bore you, but I mean, once upon a time, Blizzard was a good company.
Quite a long time, and they're making games that actually resonate with the FPS space. If that industry shift can bring in more games like Pal World that has completely disrupted the industry with people wondering like, huh, why is it so popular? How is this many people playing? It's because they're sick of Pokemon and Game Freak and Nintendo shoveling shit out every time. Like they're tired of it. If we can have more games like BattleBit that come in, disrupt the multiplayer space, and yeah, maybe they're struggling to keep that player base now, but let me tell you, BattleBit putting up a fight against the AAA space when it was made.
When BattleBit first came out, they were like ripping and tearing, dude. They were going strong for like a couple months.
By 3 developers, the shift is happening. And while I can look around and see a lot of negativity and a lot of, people are fearing for their jobs. And the thing is, I think that bubble that we've been talking about in the tech space, I think it's bursting. And I am hoping that there is only good things to come from this. I know in the AAA space, it's wishful thinking. I've been playing a shit ton of Baldur's Gate recently. It's why I haven't been uploading as consistently. I'm not one to make videos on Baldur's Gate and stuff outside of the realm of like industry news and tactical shooters and early access stuff.
Oh, that's fine.
But let me tell you, Baldur's Gate 3, Game of the Year last year, 100%. I totally get it. One of the best games that I've played in years.
Nice.
I'm completely enthralled with it. It is throwing my work off, and I apologize. I'm back at it here. We're in February. I'm about to wrap the game up, probably tonight, if I'm being honest with you. And then hopefully
I haven't even gotten around to playing Baldur's Gate 3 yet.
The impending release of Gray Zone Warfare coming out into early access can lead us into the promised land for the rest of 2024. What games are you guys playing? What are you enjoying right now? What have you been up to? My name is Big Fry. Let's have a conversation. This is something that I have just been kind of sitting on and watching for a while. I'm seeing all of these layoffs, all of these headlines, all of this doom and gloom. And all I'm thinking to myself is that if these companies truly mean what they say when they're talking about restructuring and refocusing on what they need to focus on, hopefully that leads to good things.
Hopefully.
Let me know what you think down below. Leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it. My name is Big Fry, and I'll see you on the next one.
Nice. Yeah, dude, this is like my first time seeing like a Big Fry video, and I'm a fan. I like it. Yeah, just some general commentary over like the AAA gaming industry and whatnot. Yeah, it's not looking too good, but that's not to say that it could be better in the future. I mean, who knows? Only time will tell. I mean, man. But yeah, I'm a fan. I want to see more, and yeah, good video. But that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.